that knows how to take an app, knows how to coordinate a loan, knows how to provide a fee worksheet, to I'm a mortgage coach. I give families options, and I know how to do that in every selling situation that you get in. So whether it's a rate and term refi, cash out refi, purchase options for families, you know how to use Mortgage Coach in all of the ways that a black belt does. So one, we're going to push a survey in just a minute. Before I do that, I want to make sure you guys are all aware of a couple resources online for self-education. So if you go to our website and you go to Lender Services, there is a tab that it's called Black Belt Training. So we will always evolve this tab, but it's got what we think are the strategies you need to know to be a black belt at Mortgage Coach and to do 300 plus TCAs in your first year as a loan officer. So just know that this is a training resource, something to use outside of this actual live call. Every one of these links not only has an interview that I've done from a sales strategy perspective, it also has a link to an actual total cost analysis. And we're going to evolve this so that, like, this particular one is refi, how to do refis. We're going to add how-to videos to this. You'll see it evolve. So it just becomes this great resource to this weekly call. So I wanted to share that. I also want to share, these are the 12 strategies that we cover during this call. And I think it's super important, we're in January of 2021, that you know how to do the things that you need to know how to do right now. And first of all, purchase or pivot to purchase is a big strategy. And the the three top purchase strategies are, if it's just a TBD and you want to show family down payment options, purchase price options. Let's say you're competing with an online lender or a big bank and you want to show with points, without points. Purchase options. You guys need to know how to do that. You need to know how to do a rent versus own. And that is going to be a huge opportunity in 2021. But you're talking to a first-time home buyer. How do you provide more than rates and fees? How do you provide urgency for them to make the offer they need to get a house? Let's face it, there's not a lot of inventory in most markets. So how do you make first-time home buyers highly motivated for realtors? First-time home buyer, that's an important strategy. Move up. How do you talk to a move-up buyer and get them to say, you know what? I don't want to refi, I want to move up. Or I want to take cash out for a home improvement loan. Or I want to take cash out for debt consolidation. You need to know how to do that. And then, of course, rate and term refis. If you don't know how to do Mortgage Coach, making rate and term refis easy, Brian will cover that. So with that said, Brian, I'll jump in and out during this call, but let's push the poll. And I'm launching it right now, guys. We need to know how many TCAs have you created, so we have a sense of who's a white belt beginner and who's brown belt or higher. So please answer that question. And then we also like to tailor this training around, what do you want to learn? We think you should learn rent versus own, but do you want to learn how to do a rent versus own? We think you should know how to make a refi, a rate and term refi. And Brian, by the way, let's update this survey. It's saying refinance, create a star moment. Let's just how to do a rate and term refi. Let's kind of make this language that everybody will understand. So it looks like we've got different belt levels, but so far I don't see anybody that's a brown belt or higher. So everybody,
actually, yeah, one blue belt there, Dave.
Yeah, but not brown belt or higher. So cool on that. And then it looks like people want to know how to do refis. People want to know how to do move ups. People want to know how to do rent versus own. All right. So it looks like you guys want to learn how to do everything. So we're not going to teach you everything in this call, but remember guys, there's that black belt training resource. There's also a library of how to do videos. So everything that you want to do, you can either go into our support page or in our YouTube channel and say how to do a PMI analysis, how to do a first-time homebuyer analysis. Anything you want to know how to do, we've got a 5-minute video to do that. Brian, what do you say we kick things off with the not a move up, but a rent versus own analysis? You cool with that?
Yeah, I know. I was looking at the poll, and that looks like it's one of the top priorities for our audience. So it's a perfect fit for them. It's going to fit what they're looking for. And then we could take a look, just again, it's kind of scrolling through. You guys want to, like Dave said, you want to learn how to do everything. Next option is refinance. So we'll definitely cover, the first time home buyer, rent versus own, and then it looks like a refinance presentation as well. So let me go ahead and share my screen
Cool.
here.
And then remember, guys, this is a place to come train every Wednesday at 11. It's either Brian most of the time, me 60% of the time, and then other trainers come in and out of this. But this is a place you could come and learn whatever you want every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. And every Tuesday or Thursday, tomorrow at 9, it's kind of the same format, group coaching around Mortgage Coach. So 2 places for you to learn rapidly and elevate yourself as a black belt. Hey, Brian, when we do this rent versus own, let's assume that it's a buyer that has a couple $100,000 in savings and is getting 8% on their money, and they're going to need to use some of that 200,000 to buy the home. But even when they're renting, they're going to have money in the bank, and they're kind of like, "Hey, I'm sitting on money. Should I buy now, or should I just keep building, renting, and saving?" And I want to do that because I think it really shows off the power of Mortgage Coach when we have asset in both rent and own.
You got it, Dave. And I'd also like to point out, there's a couple of on our website here. Dave mentioned the black belt. Okay, so I just want to point out a couple of resources here. The black belt training. There are there's two really good calls that I would like to suggest that you guys take a moment to watch in regards to the presentation that we're going to share with you right now, the first time home buyer presentation, or the rent versus own presentation. 2 superstars, Kevin Watson and Denise Donahue. I mean, they do such a great job in sharing this. And I mean, Denise does a tremendous job in marketing it like on Facebook to try and get business that way too. So in these 2 particular calls, you're going to get great examples, but you're also going to get the scripting that they use. So those of you that like scripts, I mean, we're not saying that use their words word for word verbatim, make it your own. So it sounds like, how you would do it, but you have examples to go by that will help you when you're having your conversations with your clients. So I'm going to take the links to those and put them in the chat area for you.
All right, guys. And also that Denise one, she does market her rent versus own on Facebook, but she also does it in Instagram, IG. And there's actually examples. So like how she went from, I helped a family with a rent versus own, and now I won the deal. I created urgency. The realtor loves me. The family loves me. Now, how do I take that story and turn it into a social media lead generation strategy? There's also a really good one from an interview I did this week with Alex Cook, and he calls it the single mom refi. And he talks about how he talked to a single mom. He was able to consolidate some debt. He was a hero. And then he did a video, put it on Facebook. I think he boosted it with $100, and he's generating 2 loans from it. So you're learning how to use Mortgage Coach to win the deal and drill over the value. And you're learning to use Mortgage Coach to create marketing content. So check it out for sure.
Perfect. All right. So, I mean, this is what this call is all about, is to give you assets to help you become more successful in your business. And we want you to ask questions. So during our workshop today, please use the chat area. I'm going to be periodically taking a look over here, the QA, the chat area. If you need, slow down, go over that in more detail. Can we look at that one more time? Have some feedback that you'd like to provide. Don't hesitate to use those 2 areas. I'm going to be periodically taking a look over there. So in preparation for this workshop, I did take a look at the rent versus own presentation that we have in our black belt group here. So here's an example of the presentation that Dave was mentioning. Now, don't quite have, say, $200,000 in assets. This particular borrower has $80,000 in assets. And what they're doing is they're taking a look, okay, should I continue to rent? Or should I go ahead and put money down? And then how much should I put down to obtain my objectives at some particular point in time? So you could use a Mortgage Coach presentation. What I like to do too is share this presentation with you in a way that you are going to be sitting in the seat, say, of a borrower. So I'm going to take the link to this presentation. I'm going to drop it into the chat area. And what I'd like for you folks to do is click on that link so you could sit in the seat of the borrower and allow me to walk you through this presentation so that you can get some perspective of what your borrower is going to see when you in turn go ahead and walk them through a presentation like this. So I'm going to take the link to this. I'm going to put it in the chat area for everybody to take a look at. And it helps me illustrate, first off, a very cool feature that Mortgage Coach allows you to do when you're consulting with your clients. And then secondly, if you like this particular presentation, if you like what you see, it gives you the opportunity to have something that you could build a presentation for on your own. Now, just a quick tip here for you. When you do send a presentation to a client, I always recommend, customizing it, or if you will, personalizing it to that particular presentation. So if you're using Outlook to email a presentation to your client, you could, one of the ways that makes it really fast for you to send these presentations to your clients is have email templates already set up. And then all you have to do is customize or personalize the name of the borrower that you're going to be sending it to, and then put in their presentation link. This link that I just placed in this email is how you get the presentation in the hands of your client. Now, let's say that I'm working with the Jones family, and I'm putting together a mortgage plan for them. So the Jones family mortgage plan here. So all I have to do is simply type in the text that I want the borrower to click on, highlight this text. And again, this is using Microsoft Outlook. Right click, and right down here, you'll see the hyperlink. Take and put the link to your Mortgage Coach presentation right there in the address. Click OK. And now your borrower simply has to click on this to access the Mortgage Coach presentation that you're providing with, rather than something that looks maybe a little bit computerish. And your goal is, of course, to get a return on your investment, right? You've taken the time to build a Mortgage Coach presentation. By the way, that time that you're going to be taken to build the Mortgage Coach presentation, the more reps that you get in, the more efficiencies in your process, you can put a Mortgage Coach presentation in the hands of your clients in, 5 minutes or less. They're going to think that you spent a lot of time in working on this plan too. You don't have to share that with them, of course. Now, when your borrower does click on that link, it's going to trigger an alert notification sent to you. So if you have the Mortgage Coach mobile app on your phone, you'll get an alert notification no matter where you're at any time. You have your phone with you 24/7, right? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're having difficulty contacting a client and you see that alert notification pop up, that could be a good time for you to reach out to them, because you know that they're actively engaged in viewing the presentation that you provided them with. Now, just a tip here, if you're going to be sending the link to your client and you're going to be consulting them either via phone, is anybody doing any, in the current environment that we're in, this is another aspect of why using Mortgage Coach in this manner is so important to you. Is anybody meeting with your clients with Zoom like we're doing here today, or any other type of web-based format where you're actually consulting them that way? Raise your hand if you're. I'm just kind of curious how many people in the workshop are using some type of format like this, because it's a little bit more difficult to work with your clients face to face, right? Okay, good. We've got a few of you. So this is very powerful if you're meeting with your clients via Zoom or some other type of webinar format. It's equally as powerful, I think, when you're consulting with your clients via telephone. The key is that you want to send them the presentation just prior to when you're meeting with them. So say I have an appointment at 3 o'clock, I would send the presentation to them maybe about 5 minutes before. The reason being is that you want to be present and hear their feedback and guide them through the presentation and get their feedback on the loan options that you're presenting them with. You want to have the opportunity to educate them step by step and not have them make assumptions as to, oh, I know what that particular product option is. I don't think I really need to meet with this person. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call 2 or 3 other lenders. This gives you the opportunity to increase your value proposition when you're working with your clients and educate and build trust with them. So I see, and by the way, I can tell how many of you have followed my instructions and clicked on that link. If you look up here in the top right-hand corner, see where it says Views 9. So I know 9 of you have followed the instructions and clicked on that link. So now that I know that the borrower has clicked on the link, I've gotten confirmation. I can go ahead and begin going through the details of the presentation with them. So now I can go ahead and maybe have a conversation, start off with, okay, this is your current situation as a renter. Your outgo is basically about $2,000 on a monthly basis. You have assets, okay? You have about $80,000 in assets that could potentially grow. And this graph down here will show how that asset will accumulate over a period of 15 years. You can customize these time horizons that you're seeing on the graph to whatever corresponds to the type of conversations that you're having with your clients. So if they see themselves living in the home for 15 years, you can paint the picture for them so that they get a visual. You're not only telling, but you're also showing them. They're getting a visual of, how their net worth can increase over whatever time horizon that is relevant to them. Now, going back to those calls that I referenced here, both top producing mortgage professionals, Kevin and Denise, have 3 key points that they go over when they're speaking with, say, a first-time home buyer or somebody that's currently renting. And the 3 key components that they go over, they first off have a conversation with the client and talk to them about, the potential tax benefit. Okay, and you can see in this particular row item. Now, I realize that some of you may feel comfortable, and some of you may be doing it right now and having conversations with your borrower about the tax benefit in becoming a homeowner. Some of you may not. So you have the ability to control, do I want to include it or don't I? If this is something that you want to include, this is what it would look like. So it's showing the borrower that if they remain a renter based upon their particular tax filing status, they're going to get the standard deduction, which equates in this case to about $227.33. Or they could be a homeowner, be able to itemize and get a larger deduction by itemizing the amount of mortgage insurance perhaps that they're paying, interest, and of course the property taxes. So it's a conversation that's available for you if you want to have it or if you don't. But again, these 2 top producers work it into their conversations. Okay, the next aspect that they have a conversation with their clients about is principal paid. Principal paid is almost like having a forced savings account or forced savings that you're constantly on a monthly basis contributing into that forced savings plan. And the way that you're doing that is in the form of principal. You're constantly, a portion of your payment goes towards interest and a portion of it goes towards principal. And as you know, as a mortgage professional, as time progresses, the amount of interest that goes towards the mortgage payment decreases, principal increases. The principal amount that you're seeing here on the presentation is the amount of principal on the very first payment. So you know that that's only going to increase over time. Now, how is that going to benefit the borrower? The principal, the money that they're putting away into that savings account, can be accessed when either maybe they need to refinance and take some cash out, or perhaps when they want to sell the home, they want to have a certain dollar amount that they're going to be able to utilize for that move up property, or maybe move down, depending upon their lifestyle at whatever time frame that they reference. And then lastly, third talking point again, so we covered 2, this is the third one that they cover, is what their net worth is going to look like at a particular point in time. Now you'll notice on the graph here, you'll see 2 different colors. Okay, the green is representing what's going to happen with the real estate or accumulation. You have the ability to customize that based upon your particular market. This particular presentation, if I click on the more info button here, is based upon a property appreciation rate of 4%. So again, that's customizable because not every market's the same. Some of you are in really hot markets. Some of you are a little bit slower markets. And you want to paint the correct picture. By the way, your realtors are a really good source. The realtor partners that you have are a good source to give you some feedback on property appreciation. Now it also points out, if you take a look, the orange area here. Now that's the amount of money that's going to accumulate in an investment account. And in this particular case, we're illustrating, a rate of return. I believe I put in about 8%. So what you're going to be able to see is, where the loan balance is, how much the equity has grown by that asset accumulation. So 3 key talking points when you're speaking to somebody that's currently renting, that gives you the ability to paint the picture for them of, in this case, I mean, it's pretty clear, right? They can continue to put money in their landlord's pocket and let whatever money they have accumulate in that investment account. They will have over $250,000 in 15 years, but a completely different picture in becoming a homeowner for that particular time horizon, right? So I'm going to pause here for a second, see if anybody has any questions. I'm going to point out one other feature that's important on the rent versus own presentation as well. But I want to see if anybody has any questions about that. Looks like Stephen. Any examples of the default emails? You know what? I actually saw a couple of top producers that are doing that, and I'd have to go back and reference a particular call where I saw the email templates that they're using. But again, it's something that you want to create and make your own. But the key takeaway from that is have something built where you only have to drop in the name of the borrower and then the new link, and then you're going to be off and running. So it's just a way of working more efficiently. Dave, is there anything that you wanted to add about the presentation that we're sharing right now?
Yeah, just, I think there's some cornerstone things that regardless of what strategy you're doing with Mortgage Coach, it's always about showing the family the benefits of different loans over time. And I think whatever you're doing, a rent versus own, showing that net worth at the bottom, it's like you change the game. Like every other loan officer's competing on rates and payments, and I close loans fast and on time. And you're showing people the long-term benefits of wealth. So, I mean, and that applies to everything, like the Mortgage Coach way to do a rate and term refi is let's blow up the monthly savings. Most loan officers just show, hey, here's your monthly savings. This is the deal. Let's go. Mortgage Coach loan officer says, hey, let's look at the savings over 5 years. Hey, let's look at the benefit of taking that savings and reinvesting your mortgage. So there's just moves that you make in every example. And then the link, that link, be able to show it live with the family. The family clicks on the link and now you're able to highlight things. And when Brian creates it, because I think he's going to go into now, how do you create one of these? He'll show you, hey, here's how you create it. And this is how you put a video on it. This is how you have a live interaction. And just know those are things that apply to every strategy you learn at Mortgage Coach.
Yeah, I did forget to confirm. Everybody is seeing, as I'm walking you through the presentation here, whenever I focus and I highlight a key area, those of you that have clicked on it.
Go to the top, Brian. Yeah, we can see 9 of you have clicked on it. So a lot of people are. So cool. And by the way, I'd be curious, did you guys know about that? Did you just learn about that feature? Or did you already know? Like, hey, I already knew it, using it, dig it. Let us know right now. I really want to know if on our onboarding of you, we've done a good enough job of making sure that, you either saw that in the sales process, knew it. Okay, we got 1 of you. So is that a new, first of all, why don't we make it easy? If that was something new, like, whoa, I didn't know that. I want to know that you didn't know about it. All right, let's keep going, Brian. Let's show them how to create one of these.
Okay, perfect. So everybody is confirming that, as I'm highlighting details. And so when you're working with your borrower, the technology aspect, right, it's going to be a wow factor. That's how you're going to be able to separate yourself from your competition, because most other mortgage professionals that they're going to be speaking with is not going to be providing a presentation like this. So you could walk them through this. I personally think that this is probably going to be the way that you're going to have your highest conversion. When you can get on a Zoom call like this, or even on the phone, and walk your client through this, I think your conversion is going to go up. Now, there are other ways to provide a Mortgage Coach presentation to your client. Like Dave mentioned, you can email them a link and include a video message in the Mortgage Coach advice engine. When you're building the presentation, you have the ability to record a video at any time and tie it to that specific presentation. So if I click on the record video here, just make sure you want to choose the correct presentation, and you're going to be able to add a video to your presentation for the borrower to take into consideration. That could be helpful. That could be a big time saver for you too. If you don't have the time, but you need to get some key information to the client, don't have the time to maybe get sucked into like a 30-minute call with the borrower because you happen to know that they're a big talker. Serve them, give them the information that they need, and always, let them know that they can still call you if needed, but at least you're providing them with the information that they want via video. That's a way that video can be a time saver for you when you're working with your clients. A couple other things I want to share with on the presentation here. And one of the key things is we talked about the tax benefit and then the principal paid here, correct? So if you look at this next row right here, the net monthly payment. So this is what's being illustrated up here in this, this graph up here in the top. It's the net monthly payment. So that's not what's coming out of their pocket. What's coming out of their pocket is right here. The net monthly payment takes into account the tax benefit, if you choose to have it in your conversations, or the principal paid. It'll be deducted from the out-of-pocket or their gross payment, and that's how the net payment is calculated. So if you see, when you take those two factors into consideration, their net monthly payment in this particular example is going to be significantly lower than what they would be paying as a renter. So just a way that you can tailor those conversations about the areas that you think are important for that first-time home buyer. And, is it going to benefit them to put 5% down, 10%, liquidate their entire portfolio and put the 20% down? What's going to help them achieve the greater net worth over time? Okay. All right. So how do you build a presentation like this? So I'm going to go ahead and just start. This is the presentation. Rather than you folks watching me key in data entry, I'm just going to focus on a couple of key areas that you want to be aware of when you build a rent versus own presentation. The very first step right here, when you begin the process, of course, what you'll do is you'll click on New Client. When you click on New Client, that's going to land you right here. And again, I'm not going to bore you with having you watch me do the data entry, but what you want to do is move the dial button where it says prepare a rent versus own presentation. Move that from no to yes. And then that's going to allow you to get on your way of painting that picture with your client. Actually, looks like I popped in the wrong one here. Let me go ahead and pop in the one I meant to. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. The presentation is, you can see the dial buttons move from no to yes. We'll advance to the next screen here. Put TBD. Here's a big key right here. You can see the goal is get my first home. And it's going to be different than if you did it as a total cost analysis. So if you get here and you see that your goals are different, get my first home is for a first-time home buyer presentation. Now, this is where you have the ability to paint the picture of what the borrower's current situation looks like as a renter. You could see they're currently paying $2,000 a month. When their lease has gone up for a renewal, that landlord has increased their rent, year after year, say a factor of 2%. That's a great question to ask your clients, by the way. How do you feel about having an adjustable housing payment?
Hey, real quick, I have interviewed a few people lately, and I'm seeing 5% be the number that they're most often putting there. I would love to know, community, what do you think? If you're watching this right now, we're not going to wait, but what do you think the percentage should be? And one last thing is just always make sure you get the client's buy-in. Like whatever, you might have to lead them, but if you just make up a number and you tell them what it is, they don't own it. Like you want them to own this. You're creating their rent versus buy. So make sure you have your buy-in. I've been seeing 5 a lot lately, but 2 is probably the lowest, 5. And please put in chat what you think it should be. Anyways, keep going, Brian. This is great.
Yeah, they definitely feel it, right? Every time they have that they know the lease is coming up and, have that renewal conversation, they feel it. So, okay. And then within the advice engine, you have the opportunity to add any additional items that they may be paying as a renter. And in this case, I put $45. To me, that represents what they would be paying to have insurance for the interior contents of their condo, apartment, whatever it is. So there is a space there that allows you to put any additional incidental items that you want to complete the picture with for that particular client. Okay, so moving on now, you can see that they have some money in that savings account, $80,000 accumulating at 8%. That's where the money is coming from to make the down payment. And in this case, this is where you have the ability to have that conversation with your client about the tax benefit. Now, we help you out as much as we possibly can, but it's always best, like Dave was saying, ask your client. And what typically happens when you ask your client, what's your tax bracket? What's the response that you typically get? I don't know, too much, right? Something to that effect. That's where you can ask them, hey, do you have somebody that helps you with your taxes? What I'd like to do is, contact them, give them a call, and see if I can get that details with your permission. Now that gives you an opportunity to form a relationship with CPA, that tax advisor, that financial advisor, and show your value in working with mutual clients and potentially get some referrals from them. And then of course, reciprocate and give them some referrals as well. So it's a great way to help you out. And again, if you feel comfortable having those conversations, if you don't, just leave this information blank. So that way that row item will not even appear on your mortgage coach presentation, on your rent versus own presentation. If you look over here in the top right, I'd just like to draw your attention. Here are the standard deductions that everybody's entitled to. It looks like we're going to have to update these because I know that they did go up. I'm gonna have to make a note of updating those. And then if you don't know what your borrower's tax bracket is, you can always click on this. It'll take you to a link and help you find out, a better estimate of what they might be. But as Dave mentioned, try and get their buy-in so that they understand it, so that they feel it when you're having those conversations with your clients. Okay, great questions that you can ask your client, but no need to put in the data there unless it's going to be of value to you or your client, or you don't have it in another system. This is where you go ahead and begin building the mortgage coach rent versus own presentation. So you can see here the purchase price came over. In that first example, I put 5% down, what interest rate would be available for them at that particular, used a fee template.
Brian, real quick, and maybe I missed it, but where do we put, like, if they're going to have money, even if they rent, they're going to have whatever, $100,000 or $200,000 in the bank. Where do we put that?
I put it in right here in the assumptions area. And if you go to the next screen, right here, where it says savings, I put it in there. Oh, okay. So that way they can at least see, how that's going to accumulate over time.
Got it.
Okay. So 5% down on this particular one. Closing costs weren't there. I happen to use the fee templates for my drop-down menu here. Some of you prefer not to use fee templates. Some of you prefer to use fees as a bulk. Again, you have the ability. Mortgage Coach is a tool, and you have the ability to use the tool how you use it. We could put 5 people in a room, ask them to build a presentation. We'd probably see 5 different ways of how it's built. Let's go ahead and move forward. Here are the monthly costs that are associated with being a homeowner, hazard insurance, property taxes. There's a mortgage insurance amount, $114 there. And this is new for those of you that might be part of our enterprise, part of an enterprise account. If you do not yet have this button in your account, you're going to want to reach out to your management team and say, hey, can we get that mortgage insurance, that get MA pricing button in our mortgage coach account? Because this will give you the ability, you click on that, you can bring in an MI price quote without having to go to a secondary source. So talk to your management team if you don't have that and you're one of our enterprise partners. And you can see here the reserves are taken into account here. So the fastest way to build a mortgage coach presentation like this is once you get your very first presentation dialed in, nail your first one, get everything correct, closing costs, everything all set. And then when you go to build your second one, you have the ability, and you can see right over here, there's a button right here that's called copy from. copy from another product, just copy from that first one that you built, and that will save you a lot of time. And then all you have to do is edit it. Like that's exactly what I did when I built this presentation. I nailed my first one, which is a 5% down. Now all I have to do is edit the down payment amounts, what interest rate would be applicable for them. My closing costs are going to be the same, right? Closing costs are going to be the same. The only thing that's going to vary is that MI, right, for this particular borrower. So it gives you the ability to work very quickly just by using that copy from button. And that's exactly what I did. So I built 3 products, 5, 10, and 20, illustrating, what it would look like when they take a bigger bite. So small bite of the assets that they have in that investment account, a little bit bigger bite of those assets, and then eating the whole investment account to paint that picture for the client. All right. I should show you here in the analysis area, the adjust reinvestment strategy. This is where I put in the dollar amounts that they're going to have available to put in their account. So you have the ability to tailor it based upon, how much of the down payment that they're going to utilize, what type of rate of return. And another good area to bring in the financial advisors as to, what's a realistic rate of return that the client's going to be achieving on that asset that they have accumulating in your account. I think your financial advisors will probably like this presentation because a lot of them, they get compensated by assets under management. And, it's ultimately up to the borrower, but if they could see the picture and make an informed decision, maybe it's better for them to put 5% down rather than liquidating that entire account. So there you go, folks. And again, that presentation for the 9 of you or the 10 of you that have clicked on the presentation, you have an example of that so that you can use that and build it as your own.
Hey, Brian, let's go back into it. Go to the Reinvestment Strategy tab. I want to just look at that. So the amount of money we left in there for the rental doesn't show up here, right? Like we don't see that anywhere.
No, I don't.
Okay. And now what about, so you have a reinvestment of how much for each? I can't.
So what they're doing is rather than, using the full $80,000, they're going to take a portion of it. In this case, they're going to have to liquidate about $29,000 for their down payment and closing costs. So they'll have about $51,000 to put in their investment account.
Got it. And that's where you did it right there. Okay. I got
Right.
it.
And then like I said, a bigger bite of the apple. Now they're taking 10% of it. And so that's going to allow them to put 31,000. And then this one, they go ahead and actually I should zero that out because they're going to take the full bite there. And they're not going to have any money to be able to put that investment account. So that's a good catch.
Cool. So guys, this is like, and once you learn how to do this, you could do this in 5 minutes or less. You could create a strategy template for this so that literally, let's just say this took you 10 minutes to set up. Brian, why don't you show them a strategy template? And really for all the most common scenarios that you do, you should have a strategy template. You should have a move up strategy template. You should have a rep versus own strategy template so that you could just, when you want to do something down and dirty, and maybe you don't have an integration with a pricing engine, have a strategy template for this, the rep versus own strategy template.
Yeah. I mean, folks, anytime and what I always encourage people to do when you want to take into consideration, should I make a strategy template, or look at it this way. Maybe you're using Mortgage Coach and you built the same presentation like the 5th time this week. You built the same presentation the 5th time because you're using or are presenting certain loan options to your client on a high frequency basis. That's time for you to work smarter, not harder. And that's how you use a strategy template, as Dave mentioned. So all you have to do is, if you have a presentation that you find that you're using over or would like to use over and over again, all you have to do is move the dial button right here. See where it says, is this a strategy template? Move the dial button from no to yes. Make sure you advance forward. And then once you do that, what it does is it takes that presentation out of your client tab and moves it over here to your strategy template tab. Now you'll see that presentation right there. And all you have to do is click on it. And now you can repurpose that same presentation. It'll remove the borrower's information. I'll go ahead and I'll show you here real quick. So I will go ahead and I'll copy to a new client. So what it does is you can see it removes all the borrower information, but you still have those same products built over here so that you don't have to recreate the products that you're using with your clients on a high frequency basis. It's working smarter, not harder. It's saving you time. And like I said, once you get a process in place, once you get those reps in, you're going to be able to recognize how I can save time. How can I get a mortgage coach presentation in the hands of my clients, 5 minutes or less? They think that either I or my team spent, maybe an hour putting together something like this. And the reality is it's taking you a very short time. So hope you guys, implement that, look back over your past book of business, think about the conversations that you're having with your clients, and work smarter, not harder. There is also, by the way, a little short video tutorial. You can see it right in here in the advice engine for you. If you want more information on that, you can always reach out to our support team on how strategy templates can be used. If you come up here in the top and you click on the help button right up there and you simply type in strategy templates, this will get you into our support center. This is a good resource for you, by the way, if maybe you're working on the weekend and our team's not available for you, because our team's available Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. to help you out. And chat bubble right here is the fastest way to get to them. But maybe it's the weekend and you're working and you have a question. Well, right there, if you click on it, what are strategy templates in the advice engine? There you go. There's a little tutorial by our team. So just want to make sure that everybody knows those resources. Anything else before we move on to our next strategy? Any questions from the group before we move on to our next strategy? And that was actually good, because I caught that actually they're going to be liquidating all that money there. So they're able to fix that in the presentation. All right. Well, with that, then I'm going to go ahead and move forward to the next most requested. Actually, I'm going to put that back before I forget. Next most requested presentation, and that's a refi. And I think that's, just because of what's going on in the market right now, you guys are doing a tremendous. Some of you, if you look back in years past, you were probably very purchase heavy, right? 60, 70, 80% of your business was purchase transactions. Now you're finding that they're probably getting a little closer, maybe 50-50 or even more towards the refi. So you definitely want to make sure that, you are a black belt in providing your client with, refi options. What does it look like? How are you going to benefit them with the loan options that you're presenting them with? So I'm going to go ahead and share this presentation with you. Let's see here, Don. Yes. So what I'm going to do, and Don's question was, am I going to have access to the presentation? So that's why it's important for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You want to join the YouTube channel because I'm going to be posting this on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, highly encourage you to do that. I just pulled out 2 calls earlier, the Kevin Watson and the Denise Donahue call. That's only 2. There's hundreds of calls in there that, Dave has probably interviewed a top producer that, if you have a moment, think of it as Netflix for mortgage professionals. If you have a moment, pop on one of those calls. I guarantee you will get a nugget of information that will help you with your business. Okay, and then by that same sense, join the Facebook group. It's a dedicated community of people helping each other out, becoming more successful as a mortgage professional. So I would highly encourage you, if you haven't done, join those 2 groups. Okay, So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share this this next presentation, this refi presentation with you here real quick. And before I do that, one of the things that's very important when you're working with your clients is make sure that you always provide them with options. Because if you don't provide them with options, you paint them into a corner where they can only respond to the presentation that you're providing with in either yes or no. For example, I'm going to go ahead and remove one of the options. One, and sending them a mortgage coach presentation like this, it's definitely better than, say, a fee worksheet, right? Or a loan comparison summary or an email. Definitely better than that. But you want to elevate your game even higher. So I'm gonna take the link to this presentation. I'm gonna put it in the chat area so you can take a look. And again, my purpose in doing this is giving you the opportunity to have something that you could create on your own. You have an example so that you can see the type of presentations or conversations you can have with your clients. So it's all about providing your borrower with options. And one of the things that we feel very strongly about, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull this up, but I'm also gonna put it in the chat area for you folks. So 3 essentials of making a smart mortgage decision. I would suggest that you save this to your computer. The links in the chat area for you folks. These are the type of things that you want to incorporate in your mortgage coach presentation. So I'd encourage you, have this on your monitor or tape it to the wall or whatever. So every time that you build a mortgage coach presentation, you're taking these 3 essentials into consideration and trying to have as many of them in your presentation as possible. So number 1, make sure that you're always providing your clients with options. Try not to put them in a corner like you're doing here. Like I said, this is good, definitely better than a fee worksheet. But what happens if the client, you share with them what the rate is, and then they say, well, you know what? I'm hearing about historic low rates. They're in the 2% range. Why am I speaking with you about a rate of 3.25%? So you've kind of put them in a position where they can either respond with yes or no. So what you want to do is you want to give them options. So here you can see, here's option 1. I'm going to go ahead and provide a second option on the presentation. And this will give you the ability to have a conversation with them, have the rate conversation with them. So you can see there's another option going to be here. And you're giving them the rate that they might have certain expectations about. Why should I speak with you when I'm hearing, historic low rates, my mailbox is being flooded with rates in the 2% range? This gives you the ability to have a conversation with them and share with them, well, is it really going to make sense for you? Is it going to be the loan that provides you with the lowest total cost over the time horizon that you're going to be in the property? So once again, if you want to click on the link, you're welcome to do it. It looks like 4 of you have done so. When you get the borrower on the phone, you can go ahead, confirm the details about their current loan. You can see they're 3875. This is their monthly mortgage payment. And you notice this is the amount of time that they have left. So these are key areas that you want to familiarize yourself with in the mortgage coach presentation that'll allow you to have different conversations with your clients. So they've already invested about 4.5 years in this particular loan. And you can see in either instance, they're definitely going to have the opportunity to save, right? $202 here, $232. That information is going to be illustrated right up here in the monthly payment difference area. You can see graphically, it gives them a look at what that looks like. Using this middle analysis area here, anybody have an idea? And I'm actually going to dial this back. I'm going to dial it back. I'm going to come over here to the analysis area. Rather than 38 months, I'm going to dial that back down here a little bit. And I'm going to ask you folks here, let's see, let's go to 28 months and see what that does. Not quite. Let me go to 32. So I'm making adjustments in the short-term analysis months. Let's go one more. I'll go one more month, 34 months. What did I just do? what did I just do and why did I do that? If you take a look at the mortgage coach presentation, so the borrower is now going to see savings over 34 months. Anybody have an idea what that represents? I'm going to pause here for a second, make you guys kind of think and try and get that out of you. And while you're thinking about that, I also want to draw your attention when either you or the borrower let your cursor drift across these different areas. See the little pop-ups that occur? So that's going to be kind of a hint to what the data is that's available there. And your borrower can also click on the more info button here as well. So anybody have an idea what that what this is representing to the client? I bet some of you are having conversations with your clients about this right now.
So guys, I do want to jump in here because two of the things for everybody on this call you should be doing is going to every refi that you haven't closed that you've presented to and creating a refi TCA with them and showing three options, current loan, refi, maybe option 3 is prepay the difference. Maybe option 3 is 30-year, 15-year, and then option 4 is pick a term reduction. So you should do that. And then every single purchase in your TBD funnel, you should be creating a purchase TCA. And again, that may be loan amount differences, different down payments. That may be purchase options, different purchase prices. And it may be points. Like if you're competing with big bank or online lender, they're always going to give 2-point options. So maybe you show, with points, without points, but be tailored. And literally after this call, the purchase options TCA is the easiest. So it's like pretty much if you saw what Brian did, you could create a purchase options TCA. But fastest way to get to Orange Belt, and literally everybody on this call could get to Orange Belt within a week, no longer than 2 weeks, 20 TCAs. I'm going to go through all my TBDs. I'm going to go through all my refis, and you could become a brown belt in a month. I mean, we have loan officers right now that have created 100 TCAs in the past 30 days. And that's not going back to their past database. That's just monster producers that do a lot of volume. So we've got countless loan officers doing over 100 TCAs a month. So just pushing you, fastest and easiest thing, create TCAs for refis, past refis, create TCAs for your entire TBD funnel. Brian, we've only got a few minutes. I don't know if we got any questions or what else you want to cover.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pick up where I left off. In April, good job. You caught it. Okay. Break even point. You nailed it. So if you take a look, and like I said, many of you are probably having conversations with your clients about the break even point. So if they click on the more info button here, you're going to be able to see, okay, here's the amount of interest and or MI, if there is MI factored in there, that the borrower is going to pay on their current loan in the next 34 months. Whereas if they refinance, this is the amount of interest that they're going to pay, but you also have to take into account the closing costs, right? So at that particular point in time, that's where the savings of refinancing in option 1 occurs. So from 34 months going forward, that loan is going to be more beneficial for the client than what their current loan has. So this is where you're going to be able to illustrate that particular point in time. Now you can see that this particular one is still negative. They haven't been able to recognize the savings opportunity just yet. They're going to have to be in the loan a little bit longer to achieve that. And that's of course because they have to pay points, right? They have to pay points to get that lower rate in the 2% range. They may or may not have to do that with you, right? I don't know where rates are at with everybody that's on the call right now. But the point is that there's 2 options that gives you the opportunity to have a conversation with them and illustrate, is it going to make sense based upon your time horizon, which loan option? The second, analyze the total cost over time. We talked about that. That covers the second option. But the third one, okay, analyze strategies to reduce the debt cost. So they're going to achieve a new mortgage, right? And there may be a little bit of a hesitation factor about resetting the clock, if you will, going back to 30 years. This is where you have the opportunity to share with them what the same payment would look like. So you can see here, I built a product option basically it was just a copy. It was a copy of that first option at 3.25%. But what I've done here in the analysis area is I've utilized the adjust reinvestment strategy. And what they've done is if they move forward with option number 2, okay, they're going to save $202.44. Show them what it would look like if they maintain the same payment that they're currently making on their existing loan by taking what they would save and apply it to the new mortgage at the lower interest rate. It'll shorten the time frame that they'll be debt free down to 23.83 years. That will put them almost 2 years ahead of where they're currently at on their existing loan. So you can show that picture to them. I'm gonna go ahead and come over here to the presentation. Now I'll show them option 1, and I'll show them the same payment option side by side. So when they look at the presentation, they'll be able to see the one that maybe they took ownership interest in choosing. Option 1, maybe they didn't want to make the additional investment to pay those points. But now you're showing them, take that money and apply it in a way that's going to allow the mortgage, make a smarter financial decision, get the mortgage to work harder for you. Just make a smarter decision. So now you can see that they'll go ahead, and it'll help in some cases get them off the fence where that borrower is sitting there going, I've already invested this amount of time. Is it going to benefit me to refinance? Now, like we showed you earlier, okay, since they are saving money, how about showing them how to earn interest rather than pay interest? So there's another option here that I put together on this presentation, which illustrates what it would look like if they took that money and put it in an investment account. So right over here, what they're going to do is they're going to utilize that same option 1, that rated option 1, but take the money and put it in an investment account. So how would you do that? Again, going to the adjust reinvestment strategy right here, $202.44, put in there on a monthly basis, not a lump sum like I illustrated earlier, and then whatever rate of return that either they or the financial advisor give. And you can see over 30 years, that's going to put almost $170,000 in their pocket. So there you go. It's a very helpful and powerful way to show them something that they'll always remember you by. We call that creating a STAR moment with your client. You might want to write that acronym down, STAR. The more STAR moments that you can create with your client when you're having conversations with them, the more it's going to put you ahead of your competition. All right, we've got about a minute left. I'm going to see if there are any last minute questions here. This recording will be posted on our website for those of you that want to review it in greater detail. I don't see any last minute questions. Dave, anything that you want to add if you're still available before we wrap it up?
Yeah, no, just get after it. Create TCAs for all your TBDs, purchase TPAs, TBDs. Get to 20 as quickly as you possibly can, a week to 2 weeks. Make it as easy as you can. I mean, like the simplest, easiest things that you do. And the faster you get to 20, 50, brown belt at Mortgage Coach is 100 TCAs, the more Mortgage Coach becomes an incredible conversion and sales tool for you. And it also makes your job faster and easier. But you got to get those reps in as quickly as you can. Don't just, do one today with this lead, and then I'm going to do one 3 days from now. It's like you're restarting. It's like batch. Create 5, 10, 15 at a time. Jeremy Forcier, creates 5 or more total cost analysis every day of the week. And that's his favorite part of his job because he's good at it. He loves it. He gets great feedback from consumers. So don't just do 1 or 2 every couple days, or the pain of change will, just be painful to adopt and start using Mortgage Coach. And remember, come back every Wednesday at 11, tomorrow, every Thursday at 9. It's training. We're just teaching you and training you, and tell your friends. We would love to have a bigger audience here every Wednesday, every Tuesday, train on Mortgage Coach. Great job, Brian.
Thanks, Dave. And Dave mentioned those resources every Thursday. Right here, you can see it's the Thursday Q&A training. For those of you that, saw this and were very inspired, go, man, I would love to have those conversations, but I'm at step 1. how do I, even begin the process of building a mortgage coach presentation? I'd recommend the Intro to Mortgage Coach workshop every Monday at 9 a.m. So the three key calls: Intro to Mortgage Coach every Monday, the Thursday QA, and then of course the Wednesday Black Belt training. It's available on our website, mortgagecoach.com. If you simply go to the lender services section right here, calendar, you're all set. All right, guys, take care. Great working with you. I hope you got value out of this. If you have some feedback that you want to share, don't hesitate to reach out. Get out there and crush it with Mortgage Coach. Take care. Bye-bye.